Hello, good morning. It's the Marketing News Show Breaking Entry. I'm Jack, that's Gino. On today's show, we asked the head of community and culture at OpenAI on their approach to community building around AI. A new agency is disrupting the bloated models of massive agencies. The Ordinary is providing a free bus for New Yorkers, and Priceline has a new negotiator. Before we get into that, let's jump into the world famous 2-minute drill at some point here in the next few seconds. Looking forward to it, Junior. Excited for the show?
Great intro, Jack, I must say. You feeling good on this Wednesday?
Yeah, feeling great. All right, let's get into it. It's a 2-minute drill. First up is search gardenzo beans, Gino. Google announced their first upgrade to search in about 25 years, and it means pretty much that it's going to be just an AI chat sort of thing. So SEO might be done. Thoughts on this, Gino?
Yeah, Jack, if you read just the headline, you see that you can type longer text into the Google search, but there's so much more beyond this, Jack. It seems like Google, my take here is Google is trying to own the whole customer funnel. So now you can go and talk and say whatever you want into the search. It's going to give you an AI response. They also have AI agents. I did this, Jack. I said gyms near me in New York, and then it actually reached out to several gyms and got the pricing and then notified me.
You're kidding.
Swear to God.
Wait, really?
It didn't do a very great job.
Explain that again, because I was zoned out for a second.
I know. Listen, I was looking for gyms in New York City, and I want to know what are local gyms, what's the pricing.
For gyms in New York City, by the way.
Need that. And they had an agent call and then notify me what the pricing and what the hours were.
You're kidding.
For like
Is that
3
real?
gyms.
Are you serious?
They have agents. Yeah.
Okay, so you can do this right now?
You can do this right now.
And so was it good or bad?
Not very good.
Okay, wow.
Because it didn't reach out to like all the gyms. It reached out to one gym twice.
Oh, so it's really not that.
It's not there yet, but in theory, that's what they're planning to own this whole funnel here.
Okay, this is what's weird to me. That's what's crazy about the AI race right now, and we can this is going to affect marketers for sure. SEO is now AEO, which is just answer engine optimization, which is what people should be probably investing more money and effort into.
Yeah.
How you show up with these AI searches, like when Gino wants to find a gym. This is what's weird about the AI race right now. Is you would never see a world where Google would release a product or a feature like this that didn't work.
Yeah.
Oh, what if if they released Google search back 25 years ago and it was like, yeah, it doesn't, the internet doesn't work.
It's the race.
It's the race. They need to get products. They need to show investors. They need to show the world that they're ahead of the game, even if it means it's not going to freaking work.
And everybody, the consumer now is basically the data. That's how they're just mining data.
They're the test dummies, and they're taking your data and they're selling it.
Next one.
Finch, first campaign. Fun one here, a little bit more niche, not necessarily the largest brand in the world, but the story behind it I think is pretty interesting, Gino. Finch is mental health and wellness sort of brand. Their Instagram, I will say, is one of the most it really does make you feel comforted.
I like that.
It is like you scroll through that and you don't get the doom scrolling feeling. But they put out this first ever brand campaign with it's led by Kevin Weir, freelancer, who also just launched Weirwork, which is a funny name. But all this big campaign really done by a group of 3 to 4 people on the agency side, and the whole thing. Whatever it takes to get through the day, and not made with AI, Gino. Your thoughts on this?
So you like this spot here, and I was asking you, Jack, because you love this spot. What did you love about it? And you said there's no AI. The craft is excellent. A small team here. It's an app that rivals Duolingo. It's like a Duolingo for mental health, right? You check in. Is that?
Yeah. I think so.
So yeah, I mean the craft here is great. It looks good to me. It's also just building a brand world. I can see them doing multiple executions now that look like this, whatever that might be. They're setting the tone here, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty solid jingle, too. It was stuck in my head. And mental health, marketing mental health is a really tricky one because you're going on social media, a place for doom scrolling. But in the comments section of their posts about this, the post is doing quite well on social. The comments are someone asked, was this made with AI? And the brand responded and said, no, it's not. And then it got 1,500 likes immediately. This is Kevin Weir posting about it. It looks like it was about a year in the works.
Oh, wow.
To make this.
Pretty Bird, too.
Sorry?
Pretty Bird is a great production company that I saw there, so that's how you know it's legit, too.
Yeah, heck of a debut for Maine's hottest new agency. That comment was funny. The Ordinary, the skincare, beauty, is...
The skincare brand has a bus in New York City. Let's talk about it. All right, The Ordinary is all about what, accessibility, like not high prices, no BS here. And there's some BS going around in New York City. To get from Domino Park to Prospect Park, which is not a very long, in theory, not a very long commute, you have to go into Manhattan. A 50-minute commute to go to point A to point B, that should be much shorter. So the Ordinary's coming in, Jack, and what are they doing?
They're like, hey, we're gonna make a bus. We're just gonna have a bus that buses you all to get to these two locations. The bus, there's only like a handful of times when the bus is operating, and it goes a few routes, so it's not necessarily coming every 10 minutes, but it definitely is like a PR sort of play. Gino, if you don't mind humoring me for a second, this isn't the first time a brand is trying to solve a public transportation, public health situation.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, does it remind you of anything?
Why am I struggling? Should I know this? Did we talk about
potholes?
Potholes.
Filling potholes.
Who did that?
Is there
a tire company?
What?
There has to be a tire company that did this.
No, Gino. It was Domino's. Domino's Pizza.
Bump it. We just did a knuckle bump.
Yeah. Domino's Pizza once paid to pave over potholes. That kind of made more sense because it meant that they could have their delivery drivers drive faster and safer. But they're taking care of a public situation, utilities. You saw Holly Market give away free grocery store in New York City, and now we have the Ordinary solving the public transportation crisis in New York City by creating a bus route that did not previously exist.
Yeah, the quote was, "Quality should be accessible, clear in its function, and straightforward, and available to anyone who needs it." And this applies to their products, and then also for travel in New York.
Clip that. Lisa Materazzo is leaving Ford, the best name in marketing at Ford, leading the brand for the last 3 years, is leaving. We do not know where she's headed. Your reaction?
Let's give Lisa a round of applause for a great job done at Ford. She was there for 3 years. In 13 years, she led the first global brand and integrated campaign for Ford. Let's say it together, Jack. The name of the campaign is Ready, Set, Ford. Dope as hell. Nice job to you. Working with Wieden+Kennedy there. What do we know? How do you want to homage to her?
A moment of silence doesn't feel right, but I mean, giving the flowers where flowers are due. It's no small task to put on a global brand campaign like this for a storied brand like Ford. It feels like one of those things, like like the meme where it's like, my watch has ended. It was like she got to the point. She launched the campaign. She did all the work and the front end to get Ready, Set, Ford, new brand platform launched, and now she's like, take it from here. My job. You
think the brand's on cruise control now because they got all the things in place. Now they have an easy ride.
Yeah, they're good for the next decade.
Yeah,
the next decade. Probably a really fun thing for Lisa to work on if you're like a CMO. Pretty much changing the brand platform for a really storied brand. And then once you do it, it's like on to the next. She hasn't said what she's going to do next, but Lisa Materazzo, best name.
Kind of reminds me of Dr. Mark Grether, who kind of comes into these companies and builds a great retail ad network and then goes on to the next one. Builds it, let's go.
Tell me more about this.
He's at PayPal right now. I think he was at Uber beforehand. Don't quote me on that. But he comes in when they have a company with all this data, fixes it, makes a retail media network within the company, and then goes on. And right now he's doing a great job at PayPal.
Lisa, we have an open position for the CMO spot at Breaking and Entering if you're interested. For Lisa Materazzo. What the fuck is up, Denny's?
Oh. This is incredible, Jack. What was it? 13 years ago, we saw one of the best viral videos, in our opinion, is a band called Live Without in the basement of a Denny's. Throw the baddest ass metal concert. And the famous line, when they start the metal concert in the basement of Denny's, the guy goes, "What's up? What the fuck is up, Denny's?" And what are they doing today, Jack?
They brought him back. They brought back the band. I think they already did it. They already did the in-store set, but I mean, how could you not? It's almost surprising that it took Denny's this long to lean in harder about this. This is, when you think of Denny's, you think of the viral video of the guy saying, "What the fuck is up, Denny's?" and them all moshing in the middle of the Denny's.
It's fun, and now what they're doing to celebrate this coming back, they obviously brought back the original band, Live Without, but they've also launched a Mott's Pit burger. Mosh Pit, Mott's Pit burger.
Of course.
Here. And I have a fun quote from Chris Bowe, the president and CEO. He's inviting fans to stage dive into this over-the-top burger. This is just amazing stuff here.
What was that quote?
Inviting fans to stage dive into this over-the-top burger.
Chris definitely wrote that quote, I'm sure. That is insane. I thought you were going to say he's inviting fans to stage dive at Denny's. That would have been a badass quote. That would have been awesome. Stage dive into a burger feels a little bit inappropriate. But the bringing back, tying the nostalgia and redo and host a concert at Denny's. Denny's should be doing like open mic night every week. They should be doing some crazy punk rock stuff consistently. When your brand, everyone associates it with this concert, just lean into it and be like the punk rock Denny's. Just host more mosh pits. I want more mosh pits.
I believe they did a Blink-182 concert at a Denny's.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
More of that.
So maybe more to come. Nice job to Denny's. Big fans of this.
What the fuck is up, Denny's? All right, before we get into the interviews, we want to do a little bit of voicemails. We want to listen to some voicemails. As we all know, you can send in your advertising ideas into the live show, and we'll listen to them, we'll react to them, and we'll probably clip them up and post them and try to tag some people, see if you can get those ideas seen. So appreciate everyone who sent in. We've gotten a lot of voicemails, and we're going to listen to one right now if we're ready for it.
Hi, guys. My name is Livia Jones, and I have an idea around emojis. And I think this idea could work well for Apple or WhatsApp Meta. And the insight is that emojis are a universal language. And I came across this insight when actually a couple weeks ago, my great uncle passed away, and on Instagram, my cousin was posting about it on his stories. And I couldn't really express my feelings in Italian. So I used an array of emojis, and I sent those to him, and he sent me emojis back, and it felt like a beautiful way to communicate without using English or Italian, but still getting the same sentimental feelings across. So the idea would be to show the power of emojis through a text exchange that just uses emojis. And the result would be globalizing communication just using Apple emojis and be able to communicate with someone who doesn't speak your same language. So whether it's a foreign lover or it's your yaya who lives far away in Greece, regardless, it would be really breaking down that language barrier. And I think this could exist as either a great WhatsApp commercial, challenging people to communicate with their loved ones overseas, or it could also be like an app extension or an entirely new app where you just communicate solely through emojis. And hopefully this sparks debate on honestly what each emoji could represent. The pink heart versus the pink sparkly heart, or the crying laughing emoji versus just the crying emoji. So I think it could really spark debate, but regardless, it's like a really powerful insight that emojis are universal. And it could really help us bridge the gap, and especially during these times where we are becoming less global as a country, it could really like push us to be more global. So that's my idea. I hope no one steals it. That's my idea. Thanks, guys. I love watching your content. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Nice.
Livia, great.
Thank you for submitting that, Livia. Emojis, universal language insight there, can bridge any conversation at any moment.
I want to take it one step further. Go like, brewing a relationship via emojis. Like if you meet someone that speaks a different language than you, and it's like a love story kind of thing, like you just communicate with emojis. Maybe that's been done before. But the idea here from Livia called in and said, emojis are the universal language. Let's show it. WhatsApp or Meta or Apple or whatever. You can communicate, show the power of communication via emojis with family members and people that speak different languages. Gino, what are your thoughts?
It's a nice insight here. It's going to kick off some creative conversations in the halls of these agencies with a lot of our listeners here. You got the starting line now. So what are your
thoughts on the idea?
I think the idea is good. You know what I was thinking about? I wrote down Google Translate in high school. I don't know if it's changed a lot, but like it never got things right.
Right. It's really good now.
The tonality. It's good now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was operating under the assumption that Google Translate doesn't work. So if Google Translate does work, then
I've used it before for speaking with people. I want to take it one step further. I want to go love story. I love the love story, and because family's great, but like the next obvious evolution of emotion and feeling is like, can I get someone to fall in love with me just by using emojis?
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about like the accessibility angle, like for people that struggle like with reading, whatever it might be. Maybe like the emojis can help like communicate clear, like in a clear way with those folks.
The emoji is worth 1,000 words. How about that for a tagline?
You know what I don't get sometimes though, I don't know what's cringe or not in the, like, is the crying laughing emoji cringy or is it the skull emoji now? Because the skull emoji is laughing too.
This is where the real conversation comes in. That's another insight there is using emojis ironically. I use like the sideways like ha 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 laugh face ironically. And I love when they have it when it's really big. When it's a really big version of the emoji. One, and it's just like, I use it ironically.
So there's some nuances in the actual emojis.
It would be it might be difficult to execute this idea and communicate and have it come across because of the way that different people interpret emojis. And maybe that is kind of the insight of like, you could find a creative way to communicate the way that you can use emojis to communicate. And my only concern, we hear about this, this idea feasibly could be used across several different brands. Like what would make, if you're doing for Apple, what would make the Apple emoji distinctive for this story compared to somewhere else? I, for some reason, just thought of Uber versus Lyft. And I almost am like questioning those campaigns now. Because like, what is it about an Uber ride in communicating that? Like there's drivers in your area. Aren't there drivers in your area if you're Lyft too?
Maybe not as many. I don't know.
How do you communicate that? How do you make this so that's different?
That's up for the brand. That's up for the creatives there. But that's a good call out, Jack.
Do you agree with me?
I absolutely agree. It's something that they'll have to think about. Like,
how would you think about it?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, there's different emojis for Android versus Apple.
If I was Apple, I'd be like, the Android emojis suck. They do. That's an insight. Nobody likes getting the Android emojis. Also, they got to a point where now Android, I think, when they have to like take the Apple emojis and turn them into Android emojis. But when Android people send you a text with an emoji, it turns it into an Apple emoji.
Yeah, that seems
like Apple emoji is like the supreme emoji to me.
So
and
it's an Apple.
They mean different things, like the peach emoji.
What is
How about that?
What's your interpretation of the
peach emoji? Is talking about another emoji, cake, which is talking about your behind.
Oh, peach goes to cake, which is behind.
Cake, another word for your behind.
Yep. There's nuances in language, so maybe this campaign can clear up what the emojis mean.
If you are seeing this, does the emoji differentiation drive you to want to use Apple products or WhatsApp more?
It's a great question.
I'm asking you.
Oh, definitely Apple.
This is what I'm thinking about right now.
You're in on this. This idea, this call in Olivia has really got you.
Well, I mean, I want to ask the questions that Livia is going to get asked when the
brand comes to her.
Yeah, when they come to her for it.
When Apple
we need this idea now.
Team. Yeah.
All right, I think let's do one more voicemail and then we'll go on to our interviews after that.
Let's do it.
Are we live? Okay, I'll go. My idea.
We'll start.
This is targeted at the people who are always complaining about how kids don't drink out of hoses anymore. Parents are always, figuring out where their kids are. They're tracking them and stuff. This is a Mountain Dew Code Red commercial for parents who let their kids out unsupervised. So, like, it'll be a dad drinking Code Red and his kid's going out on a bike. And he's just like, be home before dark. Because that's how it used to be. It'll target parents who are maybe a little insecure about being helicopter parents. Mm-hmm. It'll be targeting older people who are all like, we used to do X, Y, and Z. There'll be clips of, a dad just letting his kid drink out of a hose, or a mom. It could be anyone. But, it's just targeting kind of letting your kids be kids' parents. Thanks.
You go from an idea that has a very clear insight, strategy, things behind it, to something that's just You know, code red. Mountain Dew code red.
I mean,
and parents.
Listen,
what is the idea?
I think there's something here. It's like what Jerry Graff said. But this guy was obviously passionate about this idea. Jerry might not understand, or whoever might not understand it right away. But if he wants to refine this and make this even cleaner, he's obviously passionate about it. But there is something true. It's like there's so much data and tracking and like monitoring children today. Feel like if a parent has all these tools and resources, this is just a reminder to relax. And reminder of like your childhood. There's something here I don't know how to describe.
Where does Mountain Dew Code Red come into this?
Is it like targeting, like, is it selling the Code Red to, it's obviously to the child,
I think so.
but then the ads, like the parents are going to see it.
It feels like this person just likes Mountain Dew Code Red and also is upset that there's helicopter parents that don't let their kids go outside. And they're just like, those two things are important, so they should go together.
Code Red gets jacked up, like want to go run out in the mud or something, maybe.
Yeah, like let your kid explore the open earth.
Is Code Red even available now?
Yeah, it is for sure.
Yeah,
this person would know for sure. They would know. I would love the idea of just taking two things that I'm really passionate about and just being like, that's the commercial.
For sure.
It's like how they made Family Guy or South Park episodes. They would just have like 40 different nouns and 40 different adjectives, and then they would just grab two randomly, and it'd be like porcupine, ugly, and it would be like, okay, let's figure out what the episode is now.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how they would do it. Also in the chat, I see Patrick Herberts commenting on the emoji discussion said, "No, emojis aren't important. Who cares?"
Patrick Herberts.
That's great. I mean, we appreciate people dialing in to give their ideas.
For sure.
Because a part of that is you do open yourself up to being subject to criticism.
Of course.
And so that's what advertising, creative pursuits are all about. You take criticism.
All the time. Thick skin.
Yeah, you gotta have thick skin and also maybe learn from it. But Mountain Dew Code Red for parents that are helicopter parents.
Yeah. Get the kids to go outside, relax a little bit, give them a little bit of Code Red.
Hey Johnny, why don't you mainline about 2 liters of Code Red before you go hang out with your buddies?
You know how we used to be able to tell if your friends were home or like where your friends were? It was when your bikes were parked outside the front yard.
Here's a good, maybe you have the bikes there and then also some Code Reds.
Empty
Code Red bottles.
And then they're having a good time.
Yeah, it's like they're getting jacked up.
Yeah.
They're playing Call of Duty.
And then there's a crazy like half pipe in the backyard and they're going
yes.
And Tony Hawk shows up and he's like,
"What's up, fellow? How's it going, fellow kids?" He does the Buscemi thing. How do you do, fellow kids?
He's like, "I saw you guys were drinking some dews. Can I join you?"
Kid like shotguns in the back. Okay,
we're getting there.
We're finding something. I feel like we're starting to develop. Really, it's not on us to form these ideas. That's what the creative directors of the world are for. Before we get into our first interview, shout out to Rothmans. Rothmans is a 4th-generation family-owned independent menswear store celebrating 100 years in New York City. I wrote this copy. I'm just reading it right now. I wrote this.
Yeah.
Not AI and not Rothmans. I wrote this.
What's your favorite thing about
They have a pretty great tagline for the ad sickos out there, Gino. 100 years of taking New Yorkers as they are and dressing them better. My favorite thing about Rothmans, they emphasize the in-store experience. We had a chance to go in there and hang out. They also, they do all the suits for the ESPN people.
Say that again,
Adam
one more
Schefter.
time.
They do all the suits for most of the ESPN broadcasters. So of course, we're ESPN for advertising.
This makes sense.
We went in there, it was awesome, because we both have no clue how to dress, but they actually care about making sure you're looking good and feeling good. You can go in, have no idea what you want, leave with like, oh wow, they helped us out. They're stylists, not just salespeople, Gino. It's not just formal wear either, because they carry casual for the date nights kind of clothes, which is huge for us. Go check them out.
Call them up.
Please, go check them out in one of their New York City area locations. I prefer the Union Square flagship store. Mention Breaking and Entering when you're there for 10% off. If you order online, use code BREAKING10 at checkout. That's code BREAKING10. But if you go into their store in New York City, 10% off if you mention breaking and entering. Shout out to Rothmans.
Can I add one or two notes? I mean, these guys are just having a good time, and they're like not in a rush. Like you get in there, and you can. We sat with them for like an hour plus, just talking about ads, talking about their company. Like that's how they treat their people. Like texting their clients. Like you get in there, and you're gonna be buddies with these guys.
Yeah, it's like you have a suit guy. Everyone has like a car guy, whatever. These are like, this is your suit guy if you're looking for menswear. Patrick Herbert's also, he just chimed back in, said no hate on Livia, who did the emojis idea. Just think Apple versus Android emojis isn't important like it was in 2012. I will say that was kind of our take on it. So I think that was kind of us. We went there with the Apple versus Android as Livia had her initial idea. Yep. But Patrick, appreciate the commentary in the live
appreciate
chat.
Rothmans and you guys going there. Breaking 10.
Breaking 10. Let's move on with the show. Gino, very special guest, big time guest here. We got Bailey Richardson, head of community and culture at OpenAI. They just released OpenAI Futures, kind of like tapping in the community with how young people are using AI to advance their careers and do cool stuff and build things. So let's bring in Bailey Richardson, head of community and culture at OpenAI. Bailey, welcome to the show.
How are you guys? It's great to meet you. I'm glad I got to hear the suit backstory because you guys are looking pretty fly with these suits. I was jealous of them.
Thank you.
You guests get suits?
Bailey, we'll work on that. We'll talk with the crew at Rothmans. If there's anyone, if you need a suit or casual wear, we can make it happen. That's the live difference. Is Bailey?
Nice.
Bailey is now advertised to in real time, one-on-one.
You got me. You got me.
Bailey, you look incredible as well. Let's talk about what's going on right now. Can you first explain your role at OpenAI for the people, and then let's talk about something new that just happened, and then we'll get into maybe talking a little bit about how OpenAI is thinking about building community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a unique role, and usually we're a little bit behind the scenes. But I've spent a lot of my career basically learning from the people that are the power users of technologies, trying to get kind of in tune with who the standout users are. What are they doing with the technology? Can we learn from them? And can we help other people learn from the things that they're discovering? You know, software is fascinating. I always think I keep coming back to wanting to work in software because it's two directional. Like the product is very alive and we need to stay in tune. We can't just ship a tool, ship a piece of software, a new product, and let it go out into the world. We really learn with the people that are using it, and their usage evolves. So our team is kind of like anthropologists within OpenAI. And what we do is we try to look for people who have kind of like gotten incredible outcomes out of the technology and are the ones, you probably know some of these people that are really staying up to date with it, which is hard in the space, to try to see like what are the outcomes, ways of using the tech, ways of using the models that are really valuable that we should platform and elevate for other people to see. And also for us to like get insights from. We're always learning, our product teams and marketing teams, from these people as well. So that's sort of like the core focus, is just really finding standout users. And I think in AI, we're all learning from these people all the time. So it's really key both to internal teams and sort of the stories we tell.
Got it.
Yeah.
This makes sense here. So you're learning from the power users, and then you're communicating that to the people. Like, you know, here's some of the lessons from them. Some real quick question, like what are like what blew your mind from some of these power users? Or like, I didn't know we could do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's up and down the stack of, I think we hear a lot about software companies that are coming up that are using AI. There's a lot happening in the sciences, but there's also a lot of like very innovative, practical daily ways people are using AI. As someone has explained it to me as there's almost like an imagination gap of some people are really creative with how they can use the tech and they get a lot out of it, and others aren't. So I was just rereading, we made this book with college students, and I was rereading their chats. They like put together a list of their 100 favorite chats. And one of my favorite ones, which is like so college student-y, is what are some healthy recipes a college student can make in a dorm room with a microwave and a small refrigerator? And they'll add things like, I'm vegan, here's my budget, my nearest grocery store is this. And those like multivariable ways of using intelligence in one query really blow my mind on like a very practical level. But this project, the ChatGPT Futures, will also just see stuff that's just gobsmacking. Like there's an 18-year-old who used an AI algorithm looking at old data that NASA just had laying around, and he discovered 1.5 million new space objects before he hit the age of 18. And NASA leadership was just like, how did this happen? Like who did this? Expecting it was some, multi-year veteran, and it was an 18-year-old.
That's insane.
Space objects?
Space objects.
What-
I saw this Neil deGrasse Tyson video, like everyone does on their feeds, just explaining how big space is. That it comes up like every 2 months, where I just get reminded how big space is, and I just had to take a nap and just remove myself from that. But Bailey, I think that you touch on what I think is one of the core issues with how a lot of other AI is being marketed to people. The main issue to me is that these companies are like forcing themselves onto you, and they're telling you, use AI and get rid of your sales team, or use AI for this. Whereas it feels like the smarter approach is what you're describing right now, which is because AI is so expansive and there's a million different ways you can use it, and it's up to your imagination. Let the people decide what the best path is for using AI, and then just highlight those. Can you describe like that journey and maybe what you're seeing that's maybe an issue with how AI has been marketed in other lanes?
Yeah. I mean, I was curious like to ask you guys about your take on it too, given your background. It seems like some of the feeling like it's being forced on people is also just because there's a lot of businesses with a lot of funding who are trying to get users. And so there's tons of commercials and tons of advertisements. But working at OpenAI, the thing that's sort of wild to me is I worked at Instagram in the beginning, and those kinds of companies, Instagrams, the social medias, they had a lot of sort of like growth hacks built in. You get tagged in a picture, you need to go see the picture. ChatGPT has none of that. It's just an incredibly useful tool, and it has grown at 10 times the speed of these social networks. And so weirdly, there's, I think, this disconnect between actually people are just adopting this technology at incredible pace because the utility of it is unbelievable. But the marketing of it does not line up with the fact that, oh my God, like this makes my life a lot easier. It helps me with myriad things. This is probably the most astounding tool that's been built in a century, maybe longer. And I think that, we don't do a great job of elevating the real outcomes that can maybe even be quite pedestrian. And that's something that I hope, OpenAI swung big with this storytelling. We hope to keep doing it. And I hope other companies will do the same, because that we're basically all relearning how to use our computers in like the simplest form. And we need to hear examples and stories from real people. And I do think that's happening kind of independently on the internet, but maybe the companies haven't quite hit their groove with how to market these things.
Yeah. For me personally, I hear of like success stories, or how somebody like super young was able to start a $1 million, $1 billion company, whatever it might be. I feel like I'm behind sometimes. And then that can create like a gap for me. It's like, well, it's already too late for me because I don't know it very well. I mean, have you come across that? Do you feel that way sometimes because how expansive this technology is?
Yeah, 100%. I think we should just normalize that, like, that is probably the normal way to feel. You guys might know this guy named Ethan Mollick. He's a professor at Wharton and like a great writer on the technology. You should read his work. But I've heard he and his wife are basically staying up on the industry 24 hours a day. So he's awake for 12 hours, reading everything, reading all the papers, and then goes to sleep, and then she picks up. And even he says he can't at this point stay on top of everything. So the pace is like really astounding and remarkable. And I think the critical thing is to basically just have areas in your life where you want to play and experiment, or you're like inclined to do that, and see how the tool can help you with that. And if you can kind of stay with some of the cutting edge tools, your brain will start to understand what's possible. But I don't think we should have the expectation that, you need to be on the cutting edge of 100% of the progress that's happening. That's just going to be hard. It's an incredible pace of what's being released.
I have a quick follow-up, if that's okay, Jack. I wanted to ask you,
Absolutely.
Bailey, what's an area in your life that you refuse to use ChatGPT or OpenAI products on? It's a no-fly zone. You're keeping that for yourself.
It's a great question. I was actually just asking some young people the same question, and I see a pretty common theme. One young girl was telling me she's like a Stanford product design student, and everybody's trying to get internships. And one of her friends just like automated 50 cold emails to the Forbes top whatever, heads of product, and just cranked them out. And she was thinking, like, should I do the same thing? And pulled back from wanting to do that, because I think even if there's not super clear language around exactly why all the time, I think we know when something is the result of like a human connection, like the success of it is going to come from whether or not you and your own voice and experience and like emotional reality and personality make a connection with another person. And that, I think, tends to be spaces. Also, this happens sometimes with like image gen. I hear young people saying the same thing, like they want to get their hands on certain things that they make because they know that it sort of like loses all of its gas if it's not made by them when it goes out into the world. And there are other emails, like logistics emails, that they're like, yeah, throw ChatGPT on that. My voice doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But
No.
just certain things won't cut through the noise and connect, even if it's just from your own perspective as the creator, if you didn't get your hands on it. And I'm like excited, honestly, to see like how that evolves, because there's something I think that is just like, it's sort of like an intuitive instinct for people that like, this just doesn't feel right to like streamline. And I think some of those conversations are just fascinating in terms of like human creativity and like, what's sort of like out of bounds or what we want to keep for ourselves,
It's an important conversation.
I mean, I think it's the way that you describe it is almost like the words that I have been trying to figure out, where it's like, is the human the reason why this thing exists? Like, is at the core, in this email that I'm sending, is the reason that this person is going to respond to my email because of me as the human, versus outsourcing that. And to me, I think that the way there's just been, and you see with like what you were saying with like image generation and like the conversation around slot, it's like the things that like that are one edge in the spectrum of like people's discourse. What I see, like people don't realize that the TikTok algorithm is AI, like, and that's one of the greatest like advancements in technology.
It's the best thing.
Is the way that you're fed really, really relevant topics, but it's invisible. And I think that's the difference. Like it's something that is behind the scenes that you don't see, versus the things that people don't like about AI right now is when the reason that thing exists is because of AI, not necessarily the human that made it, which has to be a really complex thing when you're trying to build a community at OpenAI, Bailey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's so many different ways the technology goes out into the world, and it has some very significant economic and political implications. And so I think the conversations about AI can feel like almost like kaleidoscopic. You can go in so many different directions about it. But I find like the really fascinating thing about my role is I'm really trying to understand, how are you using this? What did you discover? What is like amazing or astounding and new to someone who knows this technology really well? And I find that's like some of the most like at least positive slice of the conversations, and maybe like least scary. It's like, how are you using this today? And there's something about AI, like maybe every great tool has people like this, but there's people who just they love it. Like they're just so amazed by it. And it's like, I don't know, a great mechanic in a car. They just have this fluency and passion for it that I feel like lucky that I get to be close to those people because I get to learn through them, you know. But yeah, it's a very hard space. Like it's no one's coming out like with a clean, you know, where the world loves us because the technology itself is really complicated, and we're going to navigate a complicated path together.
Yeah, it's like it can be divisive. It can definitely be polarizing. Like we all see everything that people talk about on internet, both sides of the coin. But it's a good reminder. Like that's why I appreciate you coming on, Bailey. To like there's humans that are working on this, and it's like it's not necessarily the intention isn't to be like the evil Death Star, you know. And I think like unfortunately people can be like blackpilled online into thinking that, but appreciate you coming on, Bailey, and speaking with us about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your interest in the project. And I think the it feels like a lot of people are most worried about young people, like what's going to happen to them. And I get to spend a lot of time with young people through my team's work. And I think like getting closer to them and actually asking them about how they're using the technology, and even like reading these stories, these ChatGPT future stories. This graduating class is the first class to have had ChatGPT since they were freshmen.
Oh, wow.
I think they will give us a window into what the world is going to look like. And I have faith that the kids are going to be all right. Like they
Yeah.
really are very smart and self-aware and thoughtful about how they use this technology. So if you want to feel a little more grounded in the conversation, I think they're a great group to really tune into.
And you start with the ChatGPT futures. Check it out. I mean, see how actual real life people are using it, and some of the success stories. I agree with you too. Like the way that social media became adopted. It's like the people that are using it when they grow up with it and it's native to them are the ones that kind of define what it actually ends up looking like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
100%.
Thank you, Bailey. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
guys.
We'll talk
Good time.
soon.
Thank you.
Boom. Bailey Richardson, head of community and culture at OpenAI.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. We got another interview coming up.
Our next story
Right here.
An indie agency is reviving some of the most iconic ads ever made. It is Craig Crawford is our next guest of Black Noise. It's the CMO Open Letter project, taking Think Small, We Try Harder, and Where's the Beef, and rewriting some of that copy to get the attention to CMOs. And CMOs, it's a tough job nowadays, so he's trying to talk to them directly. We like this agency promo. We're going to bring him on now. Craig Crawford, welcome to the show. Give us a second here.
Craig, I think you're on mute. Craig, I think you're on mute.
It's a nice background you got there, Craig.
Craig, can we hear you now?
Gentlemen, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Long time listener, first time caller, and apparently still figuring out the mute button.
That's okay. All is good
No sweat,
here.
correct.
So first and foremost, tell us about Black Noise as an ad agency.
So, like many, it's a collective, right? Build it around project, keep it sharp, keep it focused. The smallest number of the smartest people. They not the first to have a collective model, but certainly taking advantage of the fact that there are so many talented people available right now, and trying to shake it up a bit because there's opportunity here as the world changes for advertising.
What is that opportunity that you see with Black Noise in this collective model? What excites you?
So as the world is changing, we're at an inflection point, right? And a lot of senior talent has left the industry, but it's left the holding companies, beg your pardon. It has not left the industry. And I think that's the advantage we're looking at here. People with deep experience, a lot of talent, people who've run big global brands, and now they're looking for their next thing. And I think that you're seeing that startup happening because of that change. Um, there was a time when small agencies were sort of where you went if you were a small client, right? And now we're looking at small agencies making a difference for big clients. Looking at people like X&O, small, Murder Hornet. Agencies like this have come out of the woodwork because there's opportunity here.
So do you see, I wonder about if you're like at a holding company right now, you're working as a creative at a big agency holding company. Do you just think that like it's gotten to a point where it's just become so bloated that like the structure in which they are in just does not allow for the best level of creativity?
That's exactly it, Jack. Because if you look at one of the ads we did, the "Where's the beef" ad, there's this section in there where we talk about the fact that the bun got so big that the meat got overwhelmed. And so the meat has always been in those big agencies. In many cases, it still is. But at a certain point, there's so much bun in the way that the meat can't really shine through. And so I think that's one of the challenges that the large holding company agencies face. But I do think it's important to say that this is not about a knock on large agencies. Really, this is about making a stand on behalf of small agencies and the small startups and upstarts, right? Because uh, yeah, there are pros and cons to both. And for a CMO, which is obviously who we're targeting here, uh, we're not saying small is always better. We're not saying big is always worse. That isn't the point of this at all. What we're really saying is it's time to ask the question, and is the challenge you're facing best solved by the people at the big agency? And it's not that the scale is the answer. It's that the problem may define a different scale as the solution. And so this is really much more about making the case for those small solutions where they make sense. You know, the uh, it's not just a shooting gallery at the big agencies, not at all. In fact, the story is really about small agencies.
Yeah, so I think it sounds like you're kind of making the case of like you come for the creative breakthrough ideas, like you kind of want I think your quote, the smallest number of the smartest people. And
Yep.
I think that's an interesting line because I imagine the value proposition of a bigger agency is that, okay, we have like we have all this talent across the board, but from the brand side, it's like, how do I ensure that I'm getting the best of that talent if there's so much access to so many different people versus if you're a smaller agency, it sounds like you can kind of dial in that like, this is your team, this is who you're gonna be working with, which I think is kind of starting to become the main sort of rallying cry when it comes to a smaller agency. Like if you like working with Craig, you're gonna work with Craig.
That's exactly it, Jack. And uh, there's two elements of that, right? There's accountability, direct accountability when you're working with founders. You're not getting that when you go to a large agency. There's massive teams, there's more people, you've got a lot more bun. Sorry to go back to that reference. There's a lot more bun between you and the meat. Um, and I think that sort of connects directly to one of the other challenges in those agencies is that it makes everything a lot slower. And we live in a time when culture is changing constantly, and to be on your toes, making those, taking advantage of cultural moments, turning up in surprising ways. You look at some of the best examples of brands leveraging their equity. They do it because they're successful at it because they can do it quickly. The Kit Kat heist is a great example. That's really hard to do when you have a lot of people in the way. You guys have been in a meeting with 14 people and had no outcome, right? That's not what no one needs that. The other comment is, you know, I worked in big agencies for a long time. Half of the meetings are internals. And the reason half of your meetings are internals is because you have to catch up a lot more people. You have to get them on board with what you're thinking. They have to share with you what they've been doing. When you're working in a small agency, you don't need internals because you're all working on the same project, right? So that's where you get the speed and you get the precision and you get the sharpness and the power of that level of thinking. So that's the case I'm making for, and not just for Black Noise, for all of these agencies that are becoming legitimate alternatives for serious big brands. And that's really the point that the open letters were intended to convey.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the open letters. So did you guys like brief that internally? Was that an idea that you just woke up with in your mind? How did this come together?
That's a great question. So, like all great ideas, it has a lot of owners in a sense. I'd been trying to figure out a brand statement for my agency, something we could do to get attention to this brand and to this agency. I'd killed three of my own ideas along the way. They didn't get there, right? For whatever reasons, they were all very bold and brash and brazen, frankly, but uh, they just didn't quite get there. And I was in a conversation with someone who said, an open letter is kind of a statement. It's taking a stand. And I think when I have conversations with you, you seem to have a point of view strong enough to take a stand. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I was like, okay, so, well, where do I go with that? And what drew me to this is that these ads, and there's many great examples from the history of advertising, what they do is they ask you to reconsider. When you say we're number two, therefore we try harder, that's a challenge for you to reconsider, right? And so that's the challenge wanted to put to CMOs. Of course, you can still go right, get the Hertz. Don't have to choose Avis, but Avis have a point of view and they want you to know what it is. And in that case, it's really a story of we try harder, so we're going to be more accountable to you. Um, you know, uh, there's this phrase, too big to fail, right? Well, for small agencies, we're too small to fail. We cannot drop the ball for you. We can't have a bad meeting. We can't survive that. We're not going to survive a bad quarter. So, you know, we're going to try harder. And so that's the case we make there. And so that was inspired by conversations I was having with people, and then this desire to make a very strong stand, and to, draw that line in the sand. And I think this is the right moment for it as well. Um, you know, the industry's changing. We see it every day.
Well,
Nicely done.
Craig, I mean, come on though. Like, if I'm a CMO, I've got a good agency. It's fine. Things are going well. I mean, making a switch, taking a chance. It's hard to take a chance. It's risky. My job's on the line. At the end of the day, I gotta be accountable for it. So if I'm a CMO, what's the case to make a big leap, to your point, go with kind of like, to use advertising, where the challenger sort of brand?
I love that you asked that question, Jack. That's great. We're not asking you to switch all your business to black noise. That is not what we're asking you to do. We're asking for a project, a shot, give us the thing that your other agency haven't solved yet. Give us that tough one, the hardest one you have. And really a project-based business. AOR is not our goal. We want to solve very precise challenges, very quickly, very effectively, and with a project mindset. Now, of course, for a satisfied customer would come back and buy another one. Of course, that's the goal, but we really focused on the precision of small, specific challenges, or big, specific challenges. So we're not asking you to put your AOR in review. Absolutely not. In fact, we will work with your in-house agency. We will work with your media agency. We'll even work with your creative agency, if that's what makes sense. What we're bringing here is fresh thinking, and that, the power of the best minds, the meat and not the bun, and senior experienced talent who know how it's actually done.
I love it.
How about
It's
that?
great. Yeah.
How about that?
Sold.
Nicely done,
No,
Craig. We're excited.
It's exciting, and it is interesting to hear, because everyone I feel like chases that AOR. I feel like that's always the most common answer. Everyone always, when they talk about how they want a project, they're like, oh, well, we go in, we're always looking to have a longer term partnership. But I think it's good that because obviously, of course, it's the goal. Like, if you do well, you do more, is kind of what you're saying, I think, Craig.
That's exactly it. You had Frankie Rodriguez on your show last week, and I think he really nailed it. I mean, their whole approach is project based. It has turned in some cases into AOR relationships, but I think that is very much the future, particularly for marketers who want to make a difference. Now, for CMOs and marketing teams who comfortable with the status quo, That is great, man. Keep doing it. Don't call us. But for the ambitious folks who are trying to figure out how do I do better at this? How do I make more of an impact? I'm doing this one specific project. Can I bring in, a different resource here, a different talent? And so, will that maybe lead to AR? I don't know, perhaps, but it's certainly not our ambition right now. In part, I think the AOR relationship leads to the kind of stagnantness of the big agency model as well. So I'm kind of a little suspicious of it, I guess, if I'm honest.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as you should be. It's not. Yeah, it's different than. There's a saying. Don't let your girlfriend get in the way of finding your wife. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Listen, that's
fair.
and I don't subscribe to that. I'm not subscribing to that, but I'm
just 'cause there's
saying
a goalie doesn't mean you can't score.
maybe a little bit different, but my thought is that you're kind of like that's kind of the don't rest on your laurels when it comes to your agency relationships and partnerships, Craig. Right?
Yeah, I think the dating metaphor is an interesting one.
He does not agree.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I said it, not you, Craig.
Yeah, you don't have to respond to that, Craig. As now your PR coach in this.
I actually really do want to respond to it. That's the problem. I think there's a complacency that can begin to happen. Now, I think there's agencies that have avoided that brilliantly. There's brands that have avoided that brilliantly. But I do think there is certainly some truth to that. It's just human nature, right? There was an agency here in LA called Mistress. I think they changed the name at some point, but I always loved that because their whole point of view was, we want to be the side piece. And I think that's kind of a positioning perspective I share. And it's why I want to work with your agency. I want to work with your internal team, and we have done that. I think I'm not even into collaboration. I like co-conspiracy more. So we want to get in with you, with the clients, with brands, with all your resources. Some of the best work being done now is in that space between creative and media, and so you need that fluency between a media and a creative person to build ideas that maybe have never been done before. So now you're trying to figure out how to do, use a creative property in a surprising, interesting way.
Right.
Right. So that collaboration or co-conspiracy requires being a team player, but also being kind of a wild card. And I think that's where we want to be in that sweet spot. Yeah.
Well, you're doing all the right things to get that. Everybody should check out weareblacknoise.com. Check out the CMO Open Letter project. Craig Crawford, wishing you all the best. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you both.
Thank you, Craig. Craig Crawford, stepping off the show. What'd you think of that? What'd you think of that dating
That was
metaphor?
fantastic.
Have you heard that before? Again.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time.
Our next guest, Gino, we're going to keep things rolling here. The Priceline new negotiator.
What happened to the old one? William Shatner, Jack.
The Shatmeister, his watch has ended, Gino.
95-year-old William Shatner is passing the torch to Randall Park. New era for Priceline. We're going to bring on the SVP of Marketing and Branding at Priceline to talk about this next iteration for the brand. Are we good to bring in Leslie Klein, ladies and gentlemen?
Let's do it. Come on.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Great to see you.
Leslie, how is everything going? The launch happened recently. How's the team feeling right now after launching the new negotiator?
We're feeling great. We launched last week. We preceded that with a bit of an exciting tease phase to bring back Mr. Shatner and kind of tease the handoff to our new negotiator, Randall Park. And we're feeling very excited. He is the perfect encapsulation of our brand promise and really willing to stop at nothing to get people the very best travel deals so that they can take their trips.
Okay, so we have the spot showing right now to some of the folks here that are watching, but let's back this up because we see the final spot, but I want to understand, what did you brief to the agency Miramar to get to this? What did you ask them specifically?
Yeah, if I were to boil it down, the reality for people right now is that their wallets are under pressure. They're feeling like travel is getting really expensive. It feels increasingly out of reach. And Priceline has always been willing to fight for everyday travelers and make those trips possible. So the brief, in a nutshell, was to come up with the most disruptive way and most attention-grabbing way possible to show up as the hero for these travelers. And, lo and behold, that was the negotiator. The negotiator has always been this iconic and beloved character. It's in his DNA to go to the ends of the earth for people and get them on their trips. And we came up with, reintroducing the character through Randall Park, who brings this like really fresh form of comedy, an amazing physicality. He's super relatable and warm, but he's also deadpan, and he's really he's the modern negotiator. So that's where we landed, and we're super excited about it. That being said, we are bringing the negotiator back in a totally different world than he existed in before, right? It's a world built for TikTok and creators and influencers and remix culture and AI-driven discoverability. So it's a new distribution model and the most social first version of the negotiator that anyone's ever seen.
Do we envision a world where the new negotiator is kind of like setting the tone of the new era of brand like spokesperson? Because
Great question.
I think about how the old negotiator showed up and became super relevant was through TV commercials. But the fact of the matter is that TV commercials just don't hold the same cultural weight that they used to with how media is fragmented. For you, Leslie, and the team, it feels like you're ushering in. I can't think of another mainly social first brand spokesperson that currently exists, but I might be wrong. If anyone in the chat wants to correct me and make me look like an idiot, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I could say we intentionally designed this to be social first. So, the ad that you showed is really super action-packed and attention grabbing, but the idea behind it was to invite a lot of participation. So it's built for short form, it's built for long form, it's built for sound that can travel. We posted a LinkedIn job posting, and we invited people to submit their own job applications for the negotiator. We have TikTok DJs remixing our iconic sting that modernizes this kind of earworm that people remember for decades. So the idea is that it has to live in this very social first world and be fluid and malleable for the pace that culture moves in the social sphere.
I want to ask about the timing as well, because right now, this is from you all stat. 73% of people are determined to go on vacation this summer, despite rising prices, inflation, not a great economy. People are still willing to get out there. Is the timing? Like, I want to understand, is the strategy built around that? Like, this is the right time for this campaign to bring a new negotiator, because although people still want to travel, prices, it's getting harder and harder fiscally to go out and do that.
Yeah. We've actually been seeing these trends for a little while, but they are feeling even more acute to people right now. The data that you cited, we're seeing that almost half of Americans are feeling like taking a summer trip feels impossible. And at the same time, about 3/4 of them are willing to prioritize it anyway. They're not willing to give it up. So there's this kind of eternal truth that people really want to take their trips. They don't want to say no. Travel fuels the soul and the spirit, and they want to be able to do it. The economic realities right now are that people are really feeling the pressure, and travel feels less and less affordable for them. But Priceline has always been about getting the very best travel deals. We needed a really disruptive way to remind people that we can be that hero for them. We negotiate more exclusive travel deals than any other major travel site. And so we're all about making it possible. The negotiator is a really funny, very bold, outrageous, self-deprecating, spy action thriller character that can make that feel real and can do it in a really positive and funny way so that we can just remind people, that we're here for them.
Gino has raised his hand. Here we
Gino,
go.
I
Yes.
call on you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Leslie. Quick question from Gino Schellenberg from Break Entering Media here. So we've been talking about people looking to travel. It's a little bit harder financially. Who are the people that you want to talk to with this new version of the negotiator specifically?
Yep. We talk a lot about value travelers. They are very intentional. They're highly intentional travelers. They want to maximize their travel budgets and they want to be able to say yes to every trip. So these are people who want to get to that wedding and that graduation and family for Thanksgiving and take that summer trip that's just for fun. They don't want to have to say no. They're kind of always on the go, and the deals are what enable that traveler, that constantly traveling lifestyle. So think about it as kind of the people who want to say yes to everything, and we're going to enable them to do that with the very best deals that they can't find anywhere else.
I feel that right now. A lot of invites to some weddings coming up here, and sometimes I feel like I should say no.
Yeah.
But
We want to
now I have
help
no
you
s-
go to any of
now-
them you
well,
want to get to.
Gino he's just saying it because he just doesn't want to go to the
Now I have no
weddings. Now he's
excuse.
trying to. You don't have an
I
excuse
can't,
anymore.
yeah.
The price.
We have
It's
a
too
great deal for
expensive.
you.
It's too expensive. I can't go.
He doesn't want to hear it though. That's the issue. He wants an excuse to not go to the wedding.
Yeah.
That's almost. I mean, Leslie, a little free. I think a little free campaign idea there, Leslie.
Now I have no excuse.
100%.
You have no excuse, especially now we've launched our Unbummer Your Summer sale. So we have exclusive discounts on hotels, flights, rental cars, cruises, you name it.
Nice.
Incredible segue there, Leslie. That was
Nicely done.
I am a
freaking
marketer
money.
after all. I can't help it.
My other question, because people, I don't know, like the truth to this, but a classic catchphrase that marketers will say is nostalgia is not a strategy. You're obviously like leaning into history of the brand, but I want to hear it from you, your distinction of like, we're not just like grabbing nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. I guess I just want to hear your opinion, your thoughts on that.
So, of course, there's this interesting thing happening right now where the late 90s, early 2000s are back and people are kind of revitalizing some of those trends. That's undeniable. However, the negotiator is really core to who Priceline is. It's the thing that we're most famous for. And I think the perpetual tension that a marketing leader faces is how to plan for the future, speak to the traveler of the present and the future, while also holding on to the customers that know and love you. And oftentimes we have to do that without necessarily like an incremental infusion of budget or something else. So for us, the negotiator has that amazing staying power. And what we did was we brought Randall Park in and this media, creative, comms, promotion strategy that really pushes us into the future while kind of honoring our legacy, but in a really fresh way. So I think that what you would see is that the way we have executed this campaign and the plan feels really modern and current. It has the whiffs of our legacy, but with a fresh take.
Yeah.
Great question. Great answer.
Yeah, seriously, I love the perpetual tension of the marketer. It's like, you gotta.
Yeah.
It's a constant thing, like holding on to your core audience and making sure that they still like you, while also attracting and growing the customer base. At the end of the day, as a marketer, like truly, I feel like sometimes people get lost in the sauce when it comes to like advertising and creative. The core strategy and reason for the existence for the marketing function is to grow the business in a healthy way. And sometimes people forget about that and they want to just do like something that's super creative. But Leslie, I think it's important to get your perspective to remind people.
Yeah.
This
Us
is the
ad
reason
folks
for
need
it.
to be humble.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
reminded.
you relaunch an iconic character. Obviously, that's something I think about, I have thought about a lot. And the reality is that there's something that people know and love about Priceline, and we need to lean into that and use that to carry us forward into the future. So nostalgia wasn't the strategy. The strategy was, how do we couple that struggle that travelers are having with the value proposition, which is that Priceline will fight for you, that we are the ones that will fight for you to be able to take that trip and deliver it in a way that feels recognizable to the people who've been with us on the road and fresh and new for the people who maybe are less familiar with us. And so I think that this campaign is really that perfect combination.
Love
And
it.
I'm excited to see the new negotiator show up in different ways.
He is great. He is a good.
There's so much more to come, guys.
know.
Just wait.
I believe, and I think I do like Randall Park is one of those people that you almost, it's a person where I don't know where I remember him from, but he is very recognizable, and I know his style and his humor very well. And obviously the spot kind of shows that. Just love a good spy movie throwback,
Well, Leslie, congrats on this new phase of Priceline and the negotiator, and working with Miramar, great agency. We love them. Just gotta give them a shout out too. But nicely done.
We love them. We love them. They've done an amazing job for us.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Leslie. Have a great rest of your day. And
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. That was Leslie Klein.
Crushed it.
Leslie Klein, Gino, thoughts? That is the wrap on the show.
It's a good
show. Big show. If you're just joining us now, the Breaking Entering Marketing News Show presented by Rothmans Menswear. We talked with the head of community and culture at OpenAI about how they're building community around AI and all the things that come with that.
That's
and like the marketing. It's a really, really fascinating conversation with Bailey Richardson, who, fun fact, she was one of the first 10 employees at Instagram building that community. So you talk about someone who knows their stuff. And then
Craig Crawford.
Yeah, Craig Crawford, Gina.
Founder of Black Noise Agency. It's an independent agency, a collective model, if you will, trying to make a stir and talk to CMOs with an open letter system that they've created with different letters, tackling or kind of revisiting some of the most iconic ads of all time. So we talked to him, like the marketing stunt on behalf of that shop there. Nicely done to him. You can rewind and listen to that. What was the last one?
Leslie Klein, SVP of Marketing and Branding at Priceline, talking about reviving the new negotiator. Was in Nostalgia Play. Nostalgia is not a strategy. She explains all of it, the reason behind it, and how this new phase of Priceline pushes them into the future, but also keeps the core audience, which is a problem in attention. She calls it the perpetual tension of the marketer, especially for a brand that has a lot of history, like Priceline. How do you keep that core? It's the most valuable thing that you have is your distinctive brand assets, if you will.
That's all we got.
But how do you make sure that you're not just using them to use them, but using them to propel the business forward? Great episode, great show, Gino.
You did some voicemails?
Yeah, did some voicemails, heard some ideas, talked about Mountain Dew, talked about emojis extensively.
It's good stuff here, Jack. Nice show. What would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I'm giving this one an 8.2.
I would go 8.2 as well, Jack.
Oh my God. Really? You couldn't have come up with any other?
I thought it would be nice for the co-host to agree and...
Oh, yeah, right.
Want me to
That's the whole
disagree?
point. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to give it 8.0.
Not as good as me. 8.2.
I wasn't talking very well today. I couldn't enunciate. I feel like I need to do more vocal warm-ups.
You need a water. You need to be sipping on some water. You need to lubricate.
Yeah. That's because of me. Not because the guests were amazing today, I must say. But just, right, this is what people do. Athletes need to think about their performance and watch tape and recover and then make it better. So tomorrow I will do better.
Oh, man. Yes, agreed. A great show. Thank you to Patrick. Patrick was kind of our third chair in the chat. Patrick Herberts. He said, great show, boys. See you next one in the YouTube. I'm in the YouTube chat right now. Checking that out. Patrick, great work. Appreciate you being the third chair.
Vocalized.
And if Patrick's boss watches this, just relax. You're good. He was doing market research.
Studying up. I don't think I would be mad at my employees for watching marketing news and seeing what's going on, the latest and greatest in advertising and marketing.
I appreciate everyone who tunes in live, but for those that aren't able to make it live, appreciate you also tuning in after the fact, because we post this on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify every day. We go live 3 times weekly for about an hour and a half, talking to the biggest names in advertising and marketing and with the biggest stories of the day. We go live on LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. This show is presented by Rothmans Menswear. If you go, get your clothes, whether it's formal wear or just casual wear, date night kind of thing. If you want to look better, feel better, dress better, Rothmans is the place for you. Check out their store in Union Square in New York City and mention breaking and entering when you arrive, and you'll get 10% off your purchase.
Say that again, Jack.
Mention breaking and entering in store for 10% off your purchase.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I love
Tell them
saying
breaking
that.
and entering sent you.
And if you have to order online, if you must order online, the in-store experience is the best, but if you have to order online, breaking 10 at checkout. Breaking 10 at checkout. It's wedding season. Get your suits, but also
Gotta look fly in the summertime.
it's date season. Yeah, look fly. So they cover it all. They got you covered. Anything else before we hop off, Gino? We are live again tomorrow.
No, I'm excited. We're heading to SCAD. I don't know. Can we say that? I don't think we can say that. But,
I don't know if it's announced. I don't know if it's necessarily announced yet, but it's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that for Friday. So for those that are watching,
Yeah,
so those that watch the live show,
that whole audience, just got a big. Oh wow, okay. I guess they're going to be emceeing.
yeah, I'm saying their Scaddies Award show on Friday. So we're gonna be leaving Thursday after the live show. Essentially, going to check out Savannah, Georgia. It's a little bonus treat. Yeah, I broke the news.
I
That's what we do.
wasn't gonna. I don't want to do. I like doing in the office. They do a good Savannah, Georgia. And
Yeah.
he does a great one.
Like
I'm not
the
gonna do it.
molasses.
I don't want to like make fun of them. It feels like Savannah, Georgia. It's like molasses.
Yeah, we'll see it. I'm curious to see if that's how like people talk down there.
If I said that down there, they would kick my ass. Are we listening? Great job,
Thank you,
Ross.
Ross.
Nice
Good pull.
job. That's Ross on the sticks back there. He's quick with it. He's quick with it. Whole team
Anything
did
on
great. What's up?
anything on your side where you're looking forward to in life and stuff?
I'll save it for tomorrow. because
got some?
right now I got nothing.
Okay.
I'll save it. But between yesterday and today, nothing has happened. I've just been working my ass off.
That's right.
The whole team back there is working their ass off. Shout out to Ellie. Shout out to Ross. Shout out to JR. Shout out to Quincy. And shout out to Jonathan. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. Biggest marketing news stories of the day. We'll catch you later.